All right, welcome to 6.2. In 6.1, we did equations with addition and subtraction, and we're going to do multiplication and division in this lesson. So let's see if we can figure these out. 6x equals 66. So we're going to fill in the blank with the only number that would make that true. Well, hopefully we realize that's 11, and we would say x equals 11. Now, the next one's a little harder. What divided by 6 makes 5? Well, let's see. I think it's 30 divided by 6 is 5. And so I'm going to write, since x was on that side, I'm going to write 30 equals x. This one, though, 3 times what makes 48? Well, 15 times 3 makes 45. So let's try 16 times 3. Yeah, that's the one that makes 48. And so x equals 16. So all of these equations, this first, numbers 1 and 3, they had x being multiplied. In number 2, we had x being divided. And just like before, we're going to do the inverse of whatever's in the equation. For these ones that have multiplying, we'll divide. For the one that had dividing, we will multiply to find out x. And remember, when you're doing these nice, easy ones at the beginning, realize we're going to make the numbers bigger. We're going to put decimals in them. They will become harder. All right. So we learned that adding and subtracting are inverse operations. Today we're going to use multiplying and dividing as inverse operations. So this is 7 times 5 divided by 5. Well, 7 times 5 is 35, right? And 35 divided by 5 is 7. So that's interesting. We took 7, we multiplied it by 5, then we divided by 5, and we got right back to where we started. Why is that? Because multiplying and dividing undo each other. 8 doesn't matter which one is first. If 18 divided by 3 is 6, and 6 times 3 is 18. Dividing by 3 and multiplying by 3 undo each other, and we get back to where we started. So that's x divided by 2 multiplied by 2. And typically we just cross those out and we write x. All right, so 3x equals 18. Hopefully we know x is 6, but what is the procedure that we're going to learn today? Well, if x is being multiplied by 3, we're going to divide by 3. Now we're not going to write divide by 3 like that. We're going to write it as a fraction, 3 divided by 3. Now let's realize that 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 1 times x is x, right? So that's why this crosses out. You divide one side of the equal sign by 3. You divide the entire other side by 3. Now, there's only one thing over there, 18, but we're dividing that entire side by 3. That's going to be important later in the unit. And 18 divided by 3 is 6, and we write x equals 6. Now, you can skip this middle step here. So let's do that. X is being multiplied by negative 4. So what can we divide negative 4 by so we can cross it out and make it equal to 1? Well, it's got to be the exact same thing, negative 4, right? If you put positive 4, that would make negative 1. So if it's negative 4, you divide both sides by negative 4, right? And then 36 divided by negative 4 is negative 9. Notice I'm not switching that around. Negative 9 equals x, just as good as x equals negative 9. All right, so now x is being divided by 2. So we're going to multiply by 2. Now you can, since there's an x in this problem, I don't want to use the time symbol, but I do want to write that I'm multiplying. So I'm going to put a dot there and cross those out. And then I'm going to multiply the other side by 2. And I tend to put actually an x here on this side, and 13 times 2 is 26. We're multiplying, if it's x is being divided, we multiply. So once again, x is being divided, so we're going to multiply by the exact same thing, negative 7, to get x by itself. That's always our goal first. Then we do it to the other side, and so negative 12 times negative 7, two negatives make a positive, in this case, positive 84. So we're going to put decimals in there. We're going to multiply both sides by 2. You really want to avoid doing side work, going over here and doing 5.7 times 2. There is times you're going to have to do that today, but you want to avoid it. You want to do your work right in the equation. So write big enough that you can do the work right there. So I get 114, which is wrong because I have one number to the right of a decimal, and I've got to move that back. And maybe you want to clean this up and write 11.4. X equals 11.4. All right, so in this case, x is being divided by negative 1.04, negative 1 400. So we're going to multiply both sides by negative 1.04. Cross that out. Now, when we multiply, we want the one with more digits on the top, right? So you can just write it on the top right there, like that. Okay, and two negatives make a positive, so that's going to work out. And 3 times 4 is 12, and 3 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is, well, I'll write it up here. 3 times 4 is 12, carry the 1. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 3 times 1 is 3. We're going to have two numbers to the right of the decimal. Two negatives make a positive, and we have 3.12, or 3 1200ths equals x. Divide both sides by 4. And you cannot leave 26/4, not because it's improper. The problem with 26/4 is it's not simplified. Now, you could just simplify this fraction, but I suspect most people just do 26 divided by 4 like that. 4 times 6 is 24, remainder 2. Decimal straight up when you're out of numbers. 0 straight down, 4 into 25, it is 6.5. But you also could have written 6.5. You could have done 26/4 simplified is 13/2. You can, all of those are correct. Divide both sides by 2, so x is by itself. All right, so now, if you can do that in your head, great, but you may need side work. This is the one case where you may need side work. This was side work here. You need side work here. All right, now the 18 divided by 2 is 9. 2 divided by 2 is 1. It's going to be negative 9.1, but let me just show that. Right, one negative in the problem. Right, 2 goes into 18 9 times. The 9 goes above the 8. Decimal straight up, 2 straight down. 9.1, but it's negative 9.1. All right, so we did perimeter where you add up the sides. This is area of a rectangle. What was that formula you learned in elementary school? Length times width, maybe base times height, right? So it's the length times the width, 7 times x, and it's saying it's 42 square inches for the area. Divide both sides by 7, and that means that x is 6 inches. Now please, the sides are in inches. All right, the area is in square inches. Areas are always in square units, square feet, square yards, square inches. But sides are in regular inches. All right, let's practice. Divide both sides by negative 9, and x equals 9 times 7 is 63, positive 7. Divide both sides by 8. 8 goes into 90. First of all, let's put a negative here because one negative in the problem. So once I do all this work, I don't forget. 8 goes into 12 4 times. What am I doing? 1 time. All right. So this is 11. And we're thinking about the remainder is 4. Decimal straight up, 0 straight down. 8 into 40 is 5. So it is negative 11.5. X is being divided by 13, so we're going to multiply both sides by 13. I can put the 13 above it and say 78 equals x. We're going to multiply both sides by 4. I can put the 4 right there. 4 times 6 is 24. Carry the 2. 4 times 7 is 28 is 30. Move the decimal point once, and let me clean this up, and x equals negative 30.4. Area, so it's 4, you're never going to write x times 4 because that looks like times 4, right? You're going to write 4 times x equals 38. Divide both sides by 4. 38 divided by 4, well, 4 times 9 is 36, remainder 2, decimal straight up, 0 straight down, and x equals 9.5 centimeters. That's the length of this side. Final question, we're going to divide both sides by -5. And again, you could actually write it as 32/5. All right, that's a simplified fraction. But most of you will probably do this. 5 times 6 is 30, remainder 2. You could also write 5 goes into 6, right? 5 goes into 32 6 times, so 6 2/5 is another right answer. But if you make it a decimal, another right answer is 6.4. All of those are correct. You don't have to give all of them. Find one of them that you're most confident in. All right, good luck with the homework.